Hi everyone, it's another journey, and the journey starts with a big journey in Florida and stretches all the way to the moon, almost. Our guest is a former soldier, radio host, television producer, playwright, and Gulf War veteran. Our guest's life has been defined by reinvention, resilience, and one haunting question: what do you do? All I can say is, welcome, Mary, to the journey.
Thank you very much, David. It's a pleasure to be on.
You're welcome. Now, journeys, as you know yourself, and they are powerful, and we will talk about some what you've written down. But what was the earliest memories that inspired you on your journey?
Well, I grew up in Florida in the United States, and it was a pretty tough upbringing. So our family was in poverty and we had a lot of hardship. And so I chose to get married when I was 16 years old. And then I subsequently joined the military when I was 18 years old and traveled the world. So I've been inspired along the way by many, many people, but if I had to point to one that has had a true impression and impact on my life, it would be while I was in the U.S. Army and I was digging trenches for communications cable. And one of my sergeants came along and said, "You don't look very happy with what you're doing." And I said, "Well, I'm really not." And he said, "Well, what would you do if what do you really want to do?" And I just blurted out, "I want to be a broadcaster." And, here we are right now with behind you is a sign that says we're on air. So it's very welcoming to me.
Yeah,
But what happened was, I thought to myself, gosh, I don't know that that could ever happen. But when we got back from our deployment, he called me into his office one day and he said, "You have an audition at our radio and television station tomorrow." And I said, "My goodness, thank you."
yeah,
And so I went and auditioned, and that entire conversation with that sergeant who was looking out for his troops changed my life. And so I went on to become a broadcaster, both in the military and then in civilian life. And then throughout my life, I've been in communications all along in various guises.
yeah. And you talk about broadcasting. It is a very powerful, I believe, way of being yourself. I got into broadcasting when I was in my late 20s. I think I was 27. And my purpose was I was inspired by listening in on something. And I said, I know that particular music track. and
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be part of it. I've always been wanting to talk to people. You know, back in the day, children often when cassette tapes were a thing, made cassette tapes and send them into radio stations saying, I've made this tape, you know, I want to be a radio presenter, broadcaster. And it's powerful, but obviously back when I was interested, yes, I had the interest as a child, but when I was older, it was me just listening and hearing a certain track and I recognized it and I said, I want to be part of it.
Well, that is a great story, and here you are.
Yeah,
Here you are, living your dream.
yeah,
And what else can we expect, or what else can we hope for in this life but to live our
agreed,
dreams? And
agreed.
that's pretty much what I've been able to do, and I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah, I'm glad of that. So you was part of the broadcasting network. You was happy doing it. Obviously, you did that for however many years. How did you find the challenges that came with broadcasting? Because as I knew myself, you automatically don't know how to push a button unless you get to told to push the button, or you don't know how to put a record on or a music track on. Did you ever find it easy?
Well, the technical sides of it came easily to me. And so that was easy to learn. And I have a a bit of engineering in my background, so sound engineering and so forth. The technical sides of it were really, really good.
Hmm.
The challenge that I found in broadcasting is making money,
Yeah.
making enough money in order to pay the rent and, someday have a family. And, in broadcasting, there are very few people that can make that happen, and I'm one of them. I'm one that had to leave radio behind and had to leave television behind because I was able to, expand my life in other arenas that still brought those skills into play, but not as on the air as we are today.
Yeah. And it's just, I've helped people as well over the years. I haven't just been a voice on the radio. I was a person that helped people, technically. There
Mhm.
was a person on the radio station I was linked with in UK, and sadly she passed on when a year or so after 2 years after I came to America. But I was a producer, as she called me. Now, I didn't have a major role of being on there. I just came in. She made reference on the air saying, David, I've got a problem. I've got a problem. She was a trained actress, so she knew
Right,
how to perform to the microphone as well.
right,
But she didn't know the technical thing. So she was like, David, the music track's not working. What do I push? So,
right.
so I came in. My voice was the voice that, David's voice is the producer. You could hear it. So I said that in my normal voice. I was like, you do this, you do that. Hi, everyone, because she made reference. David's in the studio now. So I had to automatically say hello. And it was just those fun memories. And then she featured a homeless cat or dog in a shelter. And she wanted, you know, personality because she used to use her normal voice where she was like, Hey, my name is Pickles. I'm a 2-year-old cat. She added voice to that cat or dog.
Right.
And I said, why not go a bit further? Now, I wasn't majorly allowed to speak on radio, even though I've had radio shows myself and I out on radio shows. But I said, let's get away with it a little bit if I just, and this is a little, they know about it because they knew it was me in the end. But I said, well, if I come on and say, for example, a dog called David. Hi, I'm David. I'm the boxer dog. I was the voice that came on and did different voices
Right.
but it was fun.
Oh, it was a blast.
It was.
It was absolutely a wonderful, wonderful experience.
That's good.
Yes.
And, you know, being part of a community, because I call radio broadcasting, even television, not the major ones, but the local ones. It's a sense of community.
Hmm.
And
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
what most radio stations, aside from the corporate and the major ones, it's what it's about. It's about community.
Yes, it is. And that feeling of connecting with the audience
Yes.
is really it's a gift. It's a gift. I don't mean I have a gift of
Mm,
communicating with the audience. I mean that the audience communicating with me is a gift.
yeah,
And it's one that I've always been grateful for.
I'm glad of that. So we can talk about, things that happened, as you got older, and it's sad to hear. And, I feel the pain. I can't say understand it because I haven't had it myself, except for I know I've got mental health issues with PTSD from past trauma, so I kind of understand that element. But it says at the age of 35, you suffered seizures and cognitive decline due to the Gulf War syndrome, and after exposure to sarin nerve gas, which later diagnosed with terminal pulmonary fibrosis. You was told you had 2 years to live. You survived that. That changed a lot, I would say. And it is a part of your journey that shows that your resilience, even though you've had something bad, you're strong because you're still here today.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. And um, I was blessed to be able to serve in Kuwait during Desert Storm. And I was with the Army Corps of Engineers, and we were on a very small team in Kuwait City. And we were there to do the reconstruction work after the war was over with. And what happened was that a nearby ammunitions plant was blown up, and inside it had sarin nerve gas. And so the nerve gas was propelled into the air, and we were exposed to it. And I'm not the only one. There were 57,000 people who suffered from Gulf War syndrome. But when it happened, I happened to be 35 years old. And when it happened, you know, kept complaining of these symptoms was very, very, very frustrating because the doctor kept saying, well, you you have chronic fatigue and you have to go to bed, and yes, you can't for 8 hours, 9 hours at a time in the middle of the day, as well as at night, and you can't string sentences together, and so you have cognitive issues, but that can all be related to your depression because I've had lifelong depression.
Mm,
In 1980, I was diagnosed with clinical depression, and that's a an illness that I've managed very well over the course of my life, and I'm very, very familiar with it. And I knew that this was not that,
mm,
but it was not until probably 5 years ago that I learned that definitively it's been proven that we were exposed to sarin nerve gas. And about that same time, I was diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis. And I said, well, what does that mean? I know I can't breathe very well, but what does that mean? And she said, well, it's a progressive illness that is going to be terminal in probably 2 years. And so that was a pretty tough pill to take, but I took it. And what I did was I really took care of my life, meaning I took care of the people that are around me. I made sure that when I died, that, everything was taken care of and there weren't any loose ends hanging out there. And basically going to that practical level of being able to get things done really helped me. And then I received a treatment that helped me physically and is a reason why I'm here today.
And that's just, like I said, very powerful because it shows resilience as well. It's helped you where you are and you're still here today.
I'm
And I
still here today.
and I
Yes.
love that because it shows that no matter what you encounter in any journey, it could be, like I said, it could be mine, it could be yours, it could be anyone's. If you show resilience, you can get further and you can say, I'm still here, I'm still battling.
Hmm. Hmm. And if you're very fortunate like I am, you reach a point where you're not battling anymore. You actually are in a place where you feel grateful and you're blessed and you're living your dream. And that's what I'm doing.
And that is good to hear because it's like a release of happiness that extends on that dream because you feel like I'm free, I'm able to do X, Y, or Z, for example. You can be able to say, I'm blessed to have this, I'm able to do more, and I'm doing what I can do more. Like you're portraying your journey now. This is doing more. This is living the radio. This is living the broadcast world because you're able to give that voice again.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I've just written a book called Experience Over Expectation. Let go of the dream and live on your terms.
Mm.
And so I'm actually narrating the book in the audiobook. So for me, it's not only writing the book, but also having the joy of narrating it myself. And I'm so pleased to be able to do that. And
Yeah.
I hope the listener will be too.
I get that. And you talk about your book, and you narrating it yourself. I always love audiobooks myself. I've been a passionate audible person for, since whenever. And I'm not saying Audible because I'm not sponsored by them, but I use them as a classic example. You can go on Audible, you go on autobiographies.
Hmm.
I always like listening to the autobiographies that is narrated by the actual person. When you
Right.
hear a story narrated by another person and you think that's not that person who's actually wrote that book, I
Right.
don't feel the same connection.
Understand.
Now, if I was to read
Understand.
a book, I can imagine the words because I have done that. I've read the book as well as sometimes read listen to it. But if I hear someone else reading someone else's words, it's like that doesn't tie to what that person's thinking. When I read the book, yes, you can visualize that person talking to you. You don't hear it,
Hmm.
but you just visualize it. So when you get an author, in your case yourself, and you're narrating yourself, you feel it more. It brings that closeness to you. Like I listened to an autobiography a couple of years ago, which is very controversial, but it was narrated by the person in concern, and it makes sense why that person felt the way they did.
Hmm.
And that person, you probably heard of it in the news, was Prince Harry.
Hmm. I have heard of Prince Harry, yes.
And you've heard about his journey, how he's gone from being second in line of the throne and to where he is now, being in America. I read his book. I felt his pain. I listened to his words, and I can understand why he feels the pressure of why he felt the way
Hmm.
he did in the royal family, because he was always second best.
Right.
Now, if I was narrated by someone else, I wouldn't feel that.
No, absolutely not, especially when it comes to someone like him.
Exactly. And hearing this story over and over again, because obviously you can't automatically delete the books now. I've heard it again like last year. And you always pick up something, and this is what I learned about most stories. You always pick up something what you don't hear the first time. And I just hope your book, I know it'll be strong. I know it's going to be passionate. You've said how you've written it. I hope it's successful.
Well, thank you very much, David. I hope it's successful too. It's been a labor of love, and I uh, I wrote it with the audience in mind. So it's one thing to tell my story, and it's another thing to talk about the lessons that I've learned along the way. But the real purpose is really to connect with people so that if they find themselves in similar situations or with similar feelings or things like that, that, what I experienced really is useful in some way.
Yeah. And I'm going to call this podcast after your book because I want to give it the recognition it deserves so people can automatically say, okay, this is talking about this book. And I want people to really engage in the fact that this is your book and associate she's talking about this on a podcast. Let's go and get a book. So it ties together. And I usually do that. If
Thank
I
you.
see a catchy book title when I'm interviewing authors, I usually use the book as a book, title because it's one way of saying buy their book without even saying buy their book.
I do. I do understand.
And
And thank you very much for it.
you're welcome. So obviously it'll be available. Is it still in the planning stage? There's no website, there's no links whatsoever,
Oh
or where,
no, there's a website, marymccorvey.com. And on marymccorvey.com, you can find out more about my particular journey. You can also find my writing work. And you can also say, well, I'd like to get on the waiting list. So the book is coming out in September, in early September. And I have a waiting list of people that are saying, yes, I'd really like to get it when it comes out. So
and
it will be available on Amazon and Ingram and in bookstores, and the Audible will be on Audible. So hopefully you'll find it and pick it up. That would be wonderful, David.
I'll make sure your website is featured in the description afterwards, so it'll be below in the in the description. Now,
Perfect.
journeys are often inspiring. You've been on many, many journeys. What would you say to that person starting their journey today? What would you say to if it's someone young or even old? The expression of the radio that was always said to people, and I didn't use it much when I was there. They often said from cradle to grave, which sounded weird, but journeys can begin at any age.
Hmm.
What would you say to that person, man or woman or boy or girl? What would you say to them to help them on their journey?
Well, the the thing I would say first is listen to yourself. So as you are beginning a journey, you're going to have you may speak to other people about it, so you're getting their impressions and what their thoughts are and all of that. But, really, really listen to yourself. And what I have found is over time, and I've lived a very non-linear life. So when I say in the book title, let go of the plan, live on your terms, I really mean that. So the plan is that, and this is useful for young people and probably resonant with older people, is that we're raised in a way that we're supposed to grow up. We go to college, we get the degrees, we get the job, we build our career, we get married, we have kids, we have more career, we retire, and then hopefully we live a legacy, right? And that is a plan that is just inherent in our culture. And the fact is that you do not have to live by that plan. And if you do not live by that plan, it's really okay. And that's a very, very strong aspect of the book, Experience Over Expectation, because the expectations of that plan and following that path are so strong and they're so burdensome and they're millstones around your neck. And so if you listen to yourself, you may deviate from that plan and you may or may not get to where you're going. You may end up going someplace completely different, but it's your choice. And that's what the, and it's very hard to do, by the way. I've lived a nonlinear life, but I felt very much the pressure of the expectations. And so I finally was able to let that go and understand that the choices that I've made are very valuable to me and to other people. And so once I did understand that, that really let me put down the whole load of expectations.
Yeah. And I just, hope this message reaches out to the people that are exploring that. And it, like I always say to people when, and it's often said to me as well, it's okay to be you
Hmm.
because ultimately you as the person decides. Yes, you could be married, you could have children, you could have grandchildren, you can have family members, mother, father, whatever. When you reach that certain age, yes, you can listen to the advice, but ultimately it's you that decides because you're that decision maker.
Hmm. Hmm. And if you know that and you embrace that, and it's truly, truly okay with you that you make your own decisions,
Mm,
there is a level of freedom in that that is astronomical.
yeah. And, you know, when I was in England, I wasn't living at home, but I knew when I was living within a certain element of where I was living, even though my mum wasn't per se talking to me, I still felt like I was bound by her rules, her regulations, her way of being a mum to me.
Sure.
Now, I've had many opportunities over my years, and I'm 42, and next month as this is recorded. I've had many opportunities, but I never went beyond that scope. And then I just embraced the moment, and where I am now, I'm in America
Hmm.
because you've heard of the Latin expression, carpe diem. I
Right.
seized the moment or seize the day, whatever it is. I forgot which one it is. But I seized that opportunity and I came to America. I'm free to be who I want to be now. Yes, I got a partner who loves me, who supports me, and I'm proud of that because
Hmm.
I'm still growing. But at the
Oh,
same time,
yes.
I know I'm getting older. So that's why I do podcasts to help people understand that everyone has a journey. Mary has a journey. Someone who I'll be interviewing next week, they got a journey. Someone I interviewed a few months ago, they got a journey.
Right.
And it's that voice that connects, and it then goes back to the sense of community. It goes back to the community of let's listen in on that journey because I want to know about that person. They can tell me something I didn't know, and they can be inspired by that.
It's an excellent podcast, David. Thank you so much for doing this.
You're welcome. So, Mary, thank you for being you.
My pleasure.
I will always say to people who survived a lot in their life, you are definitely a survivor. And
Thank you very much.
I know your journey is getting to that stage where you've got the book, you've got the audio side of things. I want people to understand it's you being you.
Yes,
And
it's very much that.
uh,
For
and
good, bad, or
and I don't want anyone to doubt that because that can be heartbreaking as well. But I know the people who are following you and the people who will follow you from this podcast will always support you for being you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your journey today.
Thank you, David.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me.
You're welcome.
Every journey begins with a single step, and this one, it's the story of Cat Girl and Wise Tiger, two hearts, both fierce and free, stepping into a world of new beginnings. With every sunrise comes a chance to start again. There'll be ups and downs, moments of love, bursts of laughter, and shadows that test the soul. They'll face their past, their fears, and maybe find the courage to heal what was once broken. But through it all, they'll never lose that young at heart spirit, because when you believe in yourself, when you believe in each other, anything is possible. So what are you waiting for? Adventure, emotion, and heart await. It's time to pounce into their story and begin your own journey too.
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. I've just been listening to the Paramedic Chris children's books on audio again, and I just love it because they've given a tribute in one of them to my dad as well, who passed away a few years ago. I love audio books, and it's great to walk around, and it's great to sit at the computer, if you're out jogging or wherever, to listen to them as well. All 4 of the Paramedic Chris children's books are available on audio book from Amazon. Go and take a listen to them. You won't be disappointed. You'll hear what happens when a community pulls together and supports one another. The best thing is to pop over to my website, paramedicchriskidsbooks.org, and you'll see the links on the shop page. Keep safe, everyone, and thank you for being you.
Hi there, I'm Michael Drake, and I've written a book called The Paradox of a Mortal Mind. It's an invitation to slow down and really think about your life as a temporary part of who you are as a person. I want you to step back and think about, the things, the chances that you have in life, and the relationships that you have in life, and what you value. And the book is like I said, an invitation to slow down, really think about where you are and where you want to go, and just embrace the beauty of impermanence. Embrace the fact that you will be a picture on the wall one of these days, and it's your opportunity to leave an impact on the people that you love and the community that you have. And it's really about how you make people feel at the end of the day. And so you can pick up my book anywhere on Amazon, anywhere in the world. It'll ship right to your door. It's called The Paradox of a Mortal Mind. It's by Michael Drake. And I also have a website. It's called themortalmind.com. And you can get my audiobook, my ebook, and I hope you enjoy it. And thank you very much for being here.
The Journey Podcast explores stories of personal growth, challenges, and life-changing moments. Each episode dives into unique experiences, offering insights and inspiration for listeners navigating their own paths. I believe everyone has a story worth sharing. If you'd like to share your journey with David and others, email your story to wisewords1983@reborn.com, and it may be featured in a future episode.